Okay, good evening, everyone. This is the Grand Traverse County Board of Commissioners. Today is Wednesday, July 29th. It is 5 after 7, and we have a 5-minute delay in opening the meeting to boot up some information for a presentation. So we will call the meeting to order, and if we have the opening ceremonies, that would be the invocation and the pledge, and both will be led by Commissioner Herb Lemkool. If we could stand for the invocation, please.
Oh Lord, thank you for being amongst our presence. We pray that you'll be with each and every one of us. Also, we have to pause and remember why we can do what we're doing today in celebration of our Independence Day. We pray that you will always bless each and every one of us and continue to allow us the freedom to do what we need to do and to have a deliberation to be able to come to a common solution. Thank you, O Lord, for bringing us all together. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Lemkool. Before we start the roll call, if you have a cell phone, if you can put it on vibrate or silent, we would appreciate that. And we'll have the clerk do the roll call attendance, please.
Commissioner Fleece.
Present.
Gilman.
Here.
Henschel.
Present.
Lemkool.
Here.
Maxbauer. Here. Richardson.
Here.
Thomas.
Here.
Wheelock.
Yes, ma'am.
Chairman Inman.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum, and all are in attendance. Next item is the approval of the minutes for the May 25th regular board meeting, and we have the closed session as well. Those minutes are distributed on your desk. Hopefully you've had a time to review those. What is the board's pleasure? Commissioner Fleece.
I would move that we accept the minutes as presented for the May 25th meeting.
Okay, for the regular board meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Is there support? All right, Commissioner. Moved by Commissioner Fleece, support by Commissioner Henschel to approve the May.
No.
Supported by Commissioner
Yeah.
Wheelock.
I just had a comment.
To approve the regular board minutes, and Commissioner.
Oh, I'm sorry. This isn't the closed session minutes, this is
This is just a regular board meeting minutes.
okay, and the closed sessions are minutes are separate?
Yes,
Okay.
at this moment, yes. Are there any other questions on the regular board minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Okay, we have the May 25th closed session minutes, and before we get into that, if there's a discussion on the information distributed, Bob, I want a clarification. Since these are closed minutes, I believe if there's a needed correction, they need to be done in closed session. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. So if any of the commissioners feel there's an issue with the minutes, we can call for a closed session to correct the minutes in closed session.
I have an issue with the minutes.
All right, so we'll that'll be a request, and we'll put that under the amending the agenda. Okay. So we will not. So. I guess out of courtesy, we would the board mind that we just delay that vote until we go into closed session? All right, well, thank you. Out of consensus on that one. We would move now to the first public comment, and we'll have the clerk read the rules for public comment.
Any person shall be permitted to address a meeting of the Board of Commissioners which is required to be open to the public under provisions of the Michigan Open Meetings Act as amended. Public comment shall be carried out in accordance with the following board rules and procedures. 1. Any person wishing to address the board shall state his or her name and address. 2. No person shall be allowed to speak more than once on the same matter, excluding time needed to answer commissioners' questions. The chairperson shall control the amount of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes. Chairperson may at his or her discretion extend the amount of time any person is allowed to speak.
Okay, you've heard the rules of the public comment. Does any member of the public wish to speak at this time? And what we'll probably have you do have the presenters probably exit to the audience level, and then we'll have the public comment available now at the desk. So any members of the public wish to speak? Officer Jetter, welcome.
I would just like to
If you can
address...
speak into the microphone.
My name is Charlie Jetter,
Yes.
and I'm a Mayfield Township resident, live on Aaron Road.
Okay.
Currently employed through the sheriff's office right now. And today in my email, I received an email accepting into the leadership Grand Traverse. I know the board did it on their own. I didn't come and ask, and I just wanted to come personally and thank each and every one of you for remembering. It was over 2 years ago that we went through this, and I just wanted to thank you for remembering and kind of taking the initiative to go by the horns and throwing me into it. I appreciate it, and I was here several years ago talking about what I believe that the employees are the kind of the backbone of the county, and I truly think that you have shown your true, genuine intent and colors, and I appreciate it very much. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you coming tonight.
Officer Jetter, I received the same email today. I'll be enjoying the same experience with you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Can we do
Rob, you're on the computer next?
Cool. Very good. Any other members of the public wish to speak at this time?
they can do it in the same one.
Hearing none, we will close public comment. There is a section at public comment at the latter part of our agenda. We will now move on to the approval of the agenda. I have a couple suggestions. One is we have a replacement resolution on your desk for the 2012 budget process, and the one in the packet is incorrect, and the one on the table is what was passed at Ways and Means, and that's just a retyping of the process and the timetable that was discussed and approved at Ways and Means. So I would ask that be replace that memo number 38, page 103, with that resolution on your desk. I would also ask that item number 41 under the L4029, the board had asked for a if that form needed to be corrected. It was corrected. The number in question was removed off that form. So just for that information, if you want to pull it, get into further discussion, that would be fine. I also would like to add number 4 under special orders of business, and that is just an update on the certificate you have on your desk. You have one for Ross Childs, which I'll explain during that time. And I would like to add the one for Keith Charters in his recognition of having the Traverse City State Park named in his name. And that item would be item number 4. And that process would be that this particular certificate would be given to him at that event at the state park when they do that ceremony. And that would be the only. Dennis, before I ask the board for their changes or amendments, do you have an item to add regarding the possibility of meeting with the tribal representatives for the evening of our Thursday meeting with the joint townships? Did you want to say something on that?
I thought we could talk about that when we talk about the notices.
Okay, all right, that would be fine, so we'll just leave that out.
And then, Mr. Chairman, there is one typo in here on receive and file item number 2. The letters of agreement, the first one should read TPOAM Central Records, not Dispatch. The document you have in there is Central Records, but it is misstated here in the summary title on the receive and file
Okay.
item.
All right. Does any other member of the commission have any item that would change the agenda? All right, I need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I believe we'll have to add the closed session if we're going to approve the minutes, unless we're not going to do it
We do
tonight.
have a closed session scheduled.
Okay.
So we can deal with the minutes at that time.
I'll move for approval of the agenda.
Okay? So we have a motion to approve the agenda as recommended by the chairman for the changes. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Fleece. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, passes. We will now move on to special orders of business. First item is the Traverse Bay Child Advocacy Center presentation with Shelley Kester. Welcome. And
Mr. Chairman, the consent calendars, roll call vote, please.
That was the
we're
agenda.
not on
We
the
haven't
consent
done that
calendar
yet.
We're on special order of business.
I'm trying to hurry. I got to go back to work, so.
You just got up too early this morning. That's all. Before we start, I just want to tell the board that I was invited by Derek Bailey, the chairman of the Grand Traverse Band, to attend a presentation by the Traverse Bay Child Advocacy Center. It was on a Saturday afternoon, and really didn't know a lot about them. And I came to the event and listened, and they had just a terrific video about what they do and their interface with many agencies in Grand Traverse County, including our Sheriff's Department, prosecutors, and those kinds of things. And I was really touched by not only the quality but the message and what they do there, that I thought would be a nice item to bring to the Board of Commissioners as a presentation item. So, Shelley Kester, I believe you're the chairman of this center, and you have the is she the executive director?
Brooke Netz is our executive director.
Okay, welcome. And you now have the floor.
Thank you very much, and thank you all very much for coming or letting us come to your meeting today, and for those commissioners who had an opportunity to come to the Traverse Bay Children's Advocacy Center and take a tour. We would love to have each of you come visit the center. We are about a year old, and it's been an amazing year. We started out with an invitation from Pat Llewellyn to meet at the basement of the Sheriff's Department. All interested people from multiple counties, multiple collaborations and disciplines, to learn about what a Children's Advocacy Center was. And Pat Llewellyn had gotten a desk donated at Fifth Third Bank. She had little more than a desk and a grant from United Way and some money from the band. And in the past year, we've become accredited. We've hired Brooke, who's phenomenal. We've got staff, intake coordinator, family advocate, therapeutic coordinator. We have a dynamic group of volunteers and participants from all disciplines who provide the difficult work of helping children who've been victims of sexual abuse and terrible physical abuse. And you know about it as commissioners because you deal with the Sheriff's Department and their budget and this terrible problem. But we've all come together to, one, thank those who do that difficult work, but they don't very often get recognized, and to form a community commitment of zero tolerance for child abuse. We subscribe to the theory that if you don't say you're going to end child abuse, you never will. So we're going to be audacious, if we can use that word. It's used freely, but we really mean it. And we want to put ourselves out of business. But through the past year, we've had a lot of help from a lot of people who care. And one of those was Rich Brower, Brower Productions. He helped us put together a public service announcement that won a the TEL PSA, which you may have seen on local television, encouraging bravery to speak up and end child abuse. And the second production that he helped us with is the video you're about to see tonight that Commissioner Inman mentioned. And that talks about our work and our partners and what we as a community are hoping to accomplish here. So I thank you very much for the opportunity to play this video. Dennis Loya mentioned that video is on the county's homepage under current events. And at the conclusion of the video, Brooke's available to answer questions more detailed if you have questions. And we'd also like to provide you with some information about our signature luncheon that we're having in September, and some additional information to provide to you. So with that, if we could play the video. Thank you.
All right.
Imagine a safer community for our children. A place where abuse will not be tolerated, ever. A place where adults are educated and vigilant. A place that is passionate about protecting its children. That place is here, and that time is now. It's time to reach out. It's time to reach the children.
We're putting a flag in the sand, and we're saying, we have zero tolerance. We're proclaiming we have zero tolerance for the destruction of our children through abuse. We are not going to allow our children to be abused anymore.
Through the Traverse Bay Children's Advocacy Center and collaborating partners, we can give children in northern Michigan a voice. With awareness and open discussion, we can create a place where there is zero tolerance for child sexual and physical abuse.
People need to know that the Traverse Bay Children's Advocacy Center is here to lessen the trauma that a child experiences as they tell their story of their abuse. And so instead of children getting interviewed up to 15 times, now we make sure that that child and their family are able to come to a space that's child-friendly and safe so that they're able to tell their story one time while everybody else is there to watch.
1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will suffer sexual abuse by age 18. In 2008, there were more than 900 official investigations in the Grand Traverse and Leelanau areas alone.
Child abuse in our community transcends whatever income level people have, what race they are, what religion they are. Child abuse can happen to anybody, to any family.
As we look at the numbers that are being reported and the cases that are being handled, we're all learning how critical it is. I've always worked with young people, and so I've been aware of the issue for many years. But even being in the midst of youth development, I had no clue that the numbers were as large as they are.
Child abuse has long been a problem and concern, and the first Children's Advocacy Center was developed in Huntsville, Alabama in 1985. There are now more than 600 established and developing children's advocacy centers in the United States.
I think the CAC is going to make a large difference, a huge difference in our community. They already have, I think. I mean, you know, by the numbers of families and children that they've seen already, they've made an impact, and that impact will just grow.
In our community, Leelanau, Grand Traverse, and the band, we're going to do something about it, and we're going to join together, and it doesn't matter what your political persuasion is or your faith or who you are. We can all join together and celebrate that this is our beautiful community, and we want our children to be safe and secure.
The CAC gives parents and children that place to go where they are supported and safe, a place where they can find answers and comfort in the midst of difficult circumstances.
I was afraid to take that next step or report the abuse for the longest time, and then it wasn't fair to the kids anymore, and we needed help, and we took that step, and it was the best step ever.
I believe that the Traverse Bay Children's Advocacy Center is doing so well because of all the collaboration that's happening and all the different community agencies and community members that have embraced the center and wanted to make it into something that's beautiful and into something that is truly going to change our community.
The center is driven to lessen the trauma a child might experience in the interview process related to their abuse. Through the collaborative efforts of law enforcement, the prosecutor's office, child protective services, medical professionals, and local counseling agencies, the child finds a safe place under one roof. The primary goal is to ensure that children are not further victimized by the intervention systems designed to protect them.
The Child Protective Services and law enforcement were already functioning as a team, but there were pieces that were missing. We were having to be more than investigators, counselors and social workers, and that's not what I'm trained to do. So the CAC really, it incorporates everything, and it makes sure that the families don't get lost in the system.
Investigations also use a team approach where the child is interviewed in a child-friendly facility by a trained forensic interviewer. They provide the framework that ensures a child tells the story just once, and the child and family have support.
Prior to CAC, we would go out, we would interview the kids either at the school, we would either have, if we didn't do that, we would have the non-offending parent bring the kids into the law enforcement center, the police department, and we would have to interview them there. Now, when you're trying to interview a child over such a sensitive case, having the interview done at the police department isn't always the best place to be. CAC now, the non-offending parent brings the child in to the child-friendly, child-centered environment of the Children's Advocacy Center, and you don't have that. You don't have to get over that hump of, oh my gosh, I'm at a police department.
The CAC goes to great lengths to ensure that comfort and that security and that safety. And having one interview in that kind of environment is going to assure and ensure appropriate information is imparted by that child to the interviewer.
Representatives from many disciplines meet to discuss and make decisions about the investigation, treatment, and prosecution of child abuse cases. Ultimately, the goal of everyone involved is to help a child heal physically and emotionally.
So for kids that have experienced a trauma or an abuse, and I think it's essential that they get that follow-up care, that support, that continued reassurance through this process. And when it doesn't happen, we see ongoing symptoms continue to linger.
I think the benefit with the CAC and CFS working together, along with other community resources, is that it provides a place for children to work through their trauma, gain some self-confidence, self-esteem, and just facilitate a resolution towards their victimization.
What the CAC offers besides the detection part of it and the prosecution part of it is coordination of counseling services so that they in a very real way can help a family mend. They can be put back together.
I think talking about abuse and neglect and bringing awareness will open the door for education. And I think education is very critical to the success of our kids and families, the understanding of what families are about.
I'm really passionate about the Child Advocacy Center because it's here to help build a community around children and to ensure that they're safe and that we're really looking at them as our future. And seeing children that have come through the center leave here with a smile on their face or leave here and say, you know, can I come back? Can I come back and talk to you? That just is awesome.
The CAC treats everybody like a family member. I mean, you're not just a client or a waiting list. They feel like your family. You connect with them, and everybody's great there. So if you need them, go for it.
I think that these families deserve the best of the best, and I want to make sure that they get that.
Through the hard work of this community, we envision a future where abuse and neglect no longer exist.
It's a physical fact that darkness doesn't exist in the light. And so as we shine our light on this dark issue, it will go away.
In our language, we say Wabno Gamak. That means future leaders. And we look at what we're doing today to help develop the next generation of leaders. That's why it's so important, the efforts of the CAC and other organizations coming together. The empowerment, the well-being, the commitment to our children who will be our future leaders in our shared region.
There really isn't a more precious resource than our children. And I am compelled, I think there's a sense of urgency that if one more child is abused, it's one child too many. And if one more child doesn't have the opportunity to tell their story in a safe environment and to be healed, that's also one child too many.
If we can instill in our children the 7 grandfather teachings that we can universally share, love, respect, wisdom, humility, bravery, courage, and honesty, how powerful is that? Nurture our spirit, we can then truly begin nurturing our children's spirit. That's a legacy we can all build by.
Thank you for letting us share that. We're doing it. We're going to do it. And we're hoping that you all will join with us and help us. We're committed to providing for the CAC so that we have financial stability long-term. We're not looking to be financially supported by any particular unit, but we do want everyone to join us. If we all together come together, we can do this. And we've made a lot of progress. We do have some information we want to give to you, and also Brooke's available to answer any questions anybody has about statistics or anything.
Thank you for allowing us to come, and if I can just have a couple more minutes of your time, I'd be appreciative. We've had a chance to put together a few statistics from the first 100 children and families that we've seen thus far, and so I think in order to paint a better picture of who's come through the center thus far, this kind of helps you see the the children, the victims themselves, the alleged offenders, and also the different agencies and their usage. Okay, so the first one we have is victims' communities, where these children and their families are living. So as you can see, Traverse City is the largest percentage with 41%, followed closely by Kingsley with 18 and Interlaken with 10. And I'd be happy to give you guys a copy of this if you want to kind of further look at it. I kind of want to go a little quicker. I just wanted to give you a feel for kind of the information, too, that the CAC can gather to tell the story. The most frequently served areas, 88% of all the victims thus far that have come through our doors are within these 9 communities. So Traverse City, Kingsley, Interlaken, Grawn, Williamsburg, Kalkaska, Rapid City, Saginaw, and Suttons Bay. We also think it's important, a big goal that we have is to help supplement in the school systems different prevention programs they already have in place. And so we've been tracking where our victims are as far as what school district they're in right now. This can show you one of a couple things, because a lot of the different mandated reporters are their counselors, teachers who originally call these allegations in. So there's a couple different things that we can gather from this, and it's not, it needs further interpretation, but either these children are comfortable enough to tell their teachers, and the teachers are then going ahead and reporting this, or else that there's just a problem in a particular area. So you can't really gather from this information, but it's definitely something we're looking to look into more. But you can see that the Traverse City area public schools is the highest with 41%, followed by Kingsley with 23%, and then Benzie with 8%. As far as demographic information, we do serve children ages 3 to 18, but we also serve vulnerable adults. So thus far, we've seen 94, in total, we've seen 164 children come through our doors thus far, but out of the first 100, since June of last year, so that's in a year's time, but the first 100 that we served, there was 94 children and 6 vulnerable adults, the oldest being 68 years old, I apologize, and the youngest being 2. So as long as they're verbal enough to tell what's happened to them, we can see them at the center. The average age has been 8.8, which is very similar to the national average of 9. Total males, you can see, has been 25 children with 2 adults, and females 69 children with 4 adults. This shows you the race and ethnicity profile thus far, and then it breaks it down between boys and girls. So 22.3% of the Caucasian have been boys and 51.2% have been girls. We've also seen Native Americans, 10%. Other that have not been specified, which sometimes that's a foster parent bringing them in that doesn't really know their ethnicity, or we just couldn't gather it. And then Hispanic has been roughly 4%, African American 1%, and Asian 1% as well.
When you're working with young children, approximately how long do you work with the family, from day 1 to day 200?
Typically, if we're talking about a case that actually goes through prosecution, that can be upwards to a year before it actually makes it to trial. But we do follow the family. If they need support after that, up to the child's 18th birthday, we will provide counseling services and ensure that they receive those free of charge. As far as the types of the alleged abuse that come through our doors, so far 66% has been sexual abuse, 6% severe physical abuse, 3% witnessing violence, 1% neglect, and the 17% safety check are those individuals, children who may be in the home of a victim that's been victimized, and they're also a child that may be at risk of sexual abuse, so we also bring them in and make sure that nothing's happened to them. So that's 17%. And then there was 7% that was unspecified. We also gather marital status, so the parents of the children that we serve, and 33% of those were divorced, 17% married, 16% never married, 8% separated, 6.4% were living together. We also gather a lot of information on the alleged offender, so I brought a few slides on that to show. Our oldest offender has been 70 years old, and our youngest offender has been 7 years old. Now, if a child is under the age of 12 and they're listed as the alleged offender, we also bring them in for a forensic interview because obviously we want to make sure that they're not a victim themselves and learning this behavior from an adult. So we do follow up with those as well. So the average age of the adult offenders is 33 years old. And 66 have been males, and there's been 10 females as far as offenders' gender. Where these alleged offenders live, the communities where they're living, this is the percent of total alleged offenders by community. So the largest, as you can see, is Traverse City. Sometimes we just don't know where they are. That's the unspecified. Suttons Bay 2, Grand Rapids 1, Grand and Interlaken, and Kingsley with 8. This is the relationship of the victims to the alleged offender, the largest percentage being that of the biological father. I think a lot of times we think that this happens at the hand of a boyfriend or a stepfather, but it's actually the highest that we've seen has been biological father. And then, as you can see, it goes down from there, other adult male, brother, biological brother, stepfather, male cousin, male companion. And as you look at all these are close to the family. You know, they're really close to that child. So, again, that goes with the national average as well, too. And then the law enforcement profile, I thought that you would be interested in this as well. The percent of victims served by law enforcement agency thus far, the largest we've had has been from the Grand Traverse Sheriff's Office at 55%, followed by the State Police at 18%, and then the Traverse City Police Department at 9%. And then of the children that have been referred, we receive our referrals directly from law enforcement and Child Protective Services, so we can't have a parent calling up and saying they have to go through the proper chain that's always been there of reporting to CPS or law enforcement. So 80% have come from law enforcement, 33% CPS, and we're very proud that we've gotten this protocol in place that 82% have received their first interview at the CAC, so they have not taken them to law enforcement center, schools. So all the police officers, there's been about 200 that we've trained thus far on how this protocol goes, and so it's been really embraced. And 24 families left after the first interview and brought a sibling back to the center for a safety check, and I already talked a little bit about that. So thank you very much for your time, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Commissioners, any questions? Dennis?
Yeah, just quickly, have you been able to do any analysis of how we are successfully prosecuting cases as a result of the new advocacy center, as opposed to the old way where we had to take them 15 different places to go through these interviews? Do you have any idea of how that's affecting prosecutions?
That's something that, since we've been here about a year, that's really the goal right now, is to go through a lot of that and look and see, you know, how many have been successfully prosecuted. But I think with the Michael Porter case, that was a good example that came through the CAC. A team approach was used. The family was very well supported. because of that. So that was a very good example, and he was guilty on all 9 counts, and so we're pretty proud of the way that we all pulled together in that case.
Thank you. Okay, John Chase.
Are there any unmet financial needs that you have currently?
Absolutely. I'm glad you asked.
That's all I wanted to know.
Money.
One of the things that is, we've built such a great program thus far, and to make a child advocacy center successful, I've been talking a lot with other CAC directors, and having a great facility is awesome, but it's really the investment and the people that's in it that makes it work. That's what makes it work with the families, with them feeling supported, with the team feeling like confident in one another, because when you have prosecution and law enforcement and there's a lot there with as far as control goes with a case, and having the proper people there to manage that and coordinate that is very important. Thus far, we've been highly successful in some fundraising and some grants, but as you know, grants come and go, and so does fundraising. So we're really hoping that our partners that we've partnered with thus far can help support that.
Okay. Commissioner Wheelock.
Well, I guess a couple comments. One, for the public that wouldn't know, and, for some of the newer commissioners, Grand Traverse County has been a partnership with the CAC from the very beginning, and we recently interviewed the CAC for 2% grant money, and if you'll notice in your packet, they were amongst the top scoring agencies that applied for money, and they will be amongst the top portion that we recommend for funding through the Grand Traverse Band 2% grant, so that will be coming out here in October.
And
Nate
Nate Elger from the Sheriff Department and I are still talking about if there's anything we can do to help with permanent facilities, long-term facilities, which is still a vital need that you have.
The undersheriff
Although your
is
facilities look
like
great.
this thing out front.
Yeah,
They really
thank
do
you.
look nice.
Commissioner Max Bauer.
Well, it's been said periodically that I won't spend money on much, but I have to tell you, this is something that I firmly believe in, and I really do think that we ought to strongly consider, even if it's just a one-time allocation, putting some money in next year's budget for this.
Okay. Commissioner Fleece.
What's the center doing to be proactive instead of reactive? I don't see a lot of difference other than the interview process. It's from what you said this evening in your presentation, it was all reactive, which I would really be interested in seeing something in the proactive, because prevention, then you don't need the center.
Yeah, that, when we had this event at the State Theater that Commissioner Inman was talking about the first time that he saw this video, we had over 500 people there from the community that attended that event, and that is sheerly a prevention piece, talking about coming together as a community, shifting the norm of that's okay. We really as a community need to work on fixing this. Me as the Child Advocacy Center, I can't fix it alone. So we've really gone out and tried to rally the troops and rally the community, talk about the need, talk about what we're seeing and how we can come together as a community to enforce zero tolerance for child abuse, make sure that whoever commits these crimes go through prosecution and get the sentences that they deserve. So we have many events that we do. We have prevention programs that I don't know if you've heard of, but there's one that's called Period of Purple Crying. Each new parent, new mother that gives birth gets a video that talks about shaken baby syndrome and a child that cries. So that's one of the prevention things that we do. That's given at months into every birthing mother. We also have Darkness to Light, which is an adult education program to prevent sexual abuse, because we really feel it's up to us as adults to end this. We shouldn't have to have this resting on the shoulder of children. So we're trying to get that out, but that takes people to be able to put those things in place, and that's definitely a huge passion of mine. I want to put myself out of business on the CAC end. And to do that, you have to do prevention programs. So.
And we really were born out of the Tri-County Coalition for the Prevention of Child Abuse, which is a prevention program receiving Children Trust Fund dollars for that. As you know, the state has budget restrictions. The Prevention Council has done a really phenomenal job. In fact, would probably qualify for more state dollars if the state had more money to give Tri-County. Tri-County has now become part of the Children's Advocacy Center, and we fully recognize that we're not only in the intervention of child abuse, but we're in the prevention business. And as part, I know that you will see in the next year a major uptick in our prevention, strengthening, and boldening those programs, because we agree with you. We want to stop it before it starts. We don't want to be in the reaction business. But right now we have a two-part problem. We have the intervention and the prevention. And so we're reaching our arms out to everyone, because no group of 20, 30 people can do this. We have to, as a community, be brave and talk about this topic and sell it. We have to kind of say it in a positive way, because it's difficult for a lot of people to talk about this topic, but we have to be brave as adults. So kids can be brave and feel really safe that every adult is out there to help them, and that it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to say that somebody's is touching me inappropriately, that there's going to be an adult that says, we're going to stop this. And that's our commission, is to raise the awareness in our community through banners on Front Street, through programs in the school, through talking about it, through websites and technology. But we're committed to not only just do the intervention, we want to end it. And we're going to say it, we're going to end it.
Commissioner Lemko.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for the tour that I had up there. It was very enlightening. And it's really, to me, it shows the collaboration of what our community is all about. When everybody comes together for a common cause and makes something so wonderful and so important. You know, we are seeing fewer and fewer prevention dollars, and which is a shame. Because if we don't start taking and do some more work on prevention, we're all going to be paying more in the future. And we're going to put that cost right down on our children. And that's the wrong way of doing it. We need to prevent today. And we appreciate everything you guys are doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brooke.
We have some zero tolerance bracelets for you.
All right, anyone else? Well, thank you for coming this evening, and I know it took a couple months to get here because you were ill last month.
I'm sorry. I got my voice back.
Yeah, that's good, but I just want to tell you that, you know, when I was there, I didn't know what I was walking into, didn't really know a lot about, you know, what you were doing, and boy, through that whole presentation, I was touched to the point where I just said, this has to go in front of the county commission. And
thank you.
You know, Chris Maxbauer is right in that, you know, at some point in time in our lives, if we ever start gaining on our revenues instead of decreasing, we should make sure that, you know, we try to support you as much as we can.
Well, we intend to capacity build. We are not going to turn someone away, so we're doing it.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for coming. All right. You need a minute to break down, or? Okay.
Zero tolerance, help us.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks, Brooke. Good job.
And it's cool to wear a bracelet if you're down.
So Shelley, is that your PC or staff's? It's ours. So you just need to pull the disc out?
I did run
Here.
out.
Sonny and I are going to have a bracelet.
Doesn't work with my machinery very well.
Okay, that would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then we need to confirm that? You need to call in?
This is great.
Yes.
All right.
You guys do a wonderful job. I don't know how you do it. I really don't know how you do it, but.
We're doing it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shelley.
So all you need to do is pull the disc out and you're all set? Okay.
Who are you, young lady?
Thanks, Shelley.
They have this in PDF.
Thanks, Shelley. Well, hopefully a lot of folks out there are watching our meeting tonight and got benefit of your presentation. So as soon as they clear what they need, and we'll get our second presentation up. Do we need to clear the screens for the television people so it doesn't oversee Dennis? I need at least a couple of tonight.
I think it's going to be a late one.
It's all right. Here you go. Nope.
That's how we clear the street. That's what I would do too.
All right. All right. This is a hard act to follow, but I'm sure you're going to do a wonderful job. Next up is Tino Brydup from the Traverse Bay Economic Development Corporation. He has the quarterly economic development.
We're not quite as passionate about your problem as we are theirs.
Yes.
We're very
We won't need
interested
any
in making
napkins on
jobs,
this report, will we?
Appreciate that.
All right.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Commissioners. Again, my name is Tino Brydup. I'm the Senior Vice President of Economic Development at the Traverse City Area Chamber of Commerce, and I head up the Traverse Bay Economic Development Corporation, which is a division of the Chamber. Really, part of just getting in front of you on a more regular basis, at least quarterly, if not more often than that, to provide you an update on what we've seen in the region in the first 6 months of 2011. So if you really date literally back to January 3rd, which was a Monday that started off our year, we got phone calls right out of the chute with new business opportunities and expansion activities and plans. You fast forward to the end of June, and you take a look at a recap of the first 6 months, and project work, expansion activity, attraction activity for the region as a whole has been very robust. So much so that the Director of Business Development that we hired in November of last year has his plate full with project work. And project work is ranging from access to capital, financing opportunities, to brick and mortar expansion, to new machinery and equipment investments, and those kinds of things. Last year, we were involved in a total of 17 projects. 11 of those projects were business development projects. 6 of those projects were community development projects. Through today, we have been involved in 18 successful expansion projects on the business development side of the equation. 15 of those 18 projects are in Grand Traverse County, so that accounts for 83%. 226 of the 247 jobs committed to being created by these companies are in Grand Traverse County. That accounts for 91%. And 524 out of 524 jobs retained are in Grand Traverse County. And Grand Traverse County accounts for $39 million of the $40 million of total committed capital investments by companies in the region. So we've got 15 out of 18. The other 3 projects, we've got one in Antrim County. The Antrim County one was 45th Parallel Furniture that this board funded. And then a project in Benzie County, which was using the Benzie County Revolving Loan Fund Program, and a project in Kalkaska. So activity has been very solid. We've been very busy working on behalf of the region and on the county's behalf. And if you take a look at the unemployment rates that came out in May of this year, Grand Traverse County's unemployment rate, was reported through May, was 9.7%. Leelanau County's unemployment rate was 8.0%. The entire four-county Traverse Bay Economic Development Corporation was 9.8%. It's the first time since November of 2008 that our four-county region and Grand Traverse County together have been in single digits in unemployment. So the numbers are going in the right direction. So that's kind of where we've been. Where are we going for the rest of the year? We are really working on several strategic partnerships, some of which you are very familiar with, and some that you may not be as familiar with. But we're working very closely with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, State's Economic Development Agency. We are one of 15 local partners, local economic development partners, that meet every other week in Lansing with MEDC leadership to help them form and formulate new and additive programs, products, and services for businesses in the state of Michigan. One of the programs that you are very familiar with, and you'll become more familiar with, I think, after tomorrow night, is the Next Michigan Development Corporation. That was something that came to our attention as an opportunity back in December of last year. And it started off with a meeting between me and a few other staff members at the EDC and Chamber, and Dennis Aloya and Ben Bifos and a few other folks. And you fast forward to where we're at today, and we're on the brink of something really big that could be a potential game changer for this community. If you recall, there are 5 designations of this next Michigan Development Corporation authority in the state of Michigan that will be marketed and promoted by the MEDC. We have been invited to apply. So we have an opportunity, and Dennis, I want to thank you for your leadership on this effort on behalf of the county. One of the other critical partners in this effort is the Airport Authority. And Larry, I want to thank you for your leadership in the permanent hiring of Kevin Klein, because without a doubt, we have seen more activity and more commitment and more participation from the new director, I personally have, than we have from previous administrations. So he has gotten himself very engaged, not only with our organization, but with the city and with the county, and he's doing a bang-up job. So thank you for that leadership as well. Access to capital, I mentioned, is a barrier. It still remains a barrier, because companies are continuing to not get as much money as they are seeking. We are trying to do as much as we possibly can about that. One of the things that we've done is we've aligned ourselves in a strategic partnership with Blue Water Angels out of Midland, Michigan. It's part of the Mid-Michigan Innovation Center. They have signed a lease agreement, office lease agreement at the chamber. So we have really aligned ourselves with them. What they have done is in about the last 9 months, they have done 3 what they're calling Boost Northwest events in Traverse City. All 3 of them have been in Traverse City. And basically what it is it's an entrepreneur pitch night. Entrepreneurs that have ideas, entrepreneurs that have started a business, entrepreneurs that maybe have a maturing business but want to grow it to the next level. They do a 2-minute pitch without PowerPoint to get their product, their service, their company in front of a panel of judges that are investors, potential angel investors. And they have an opportunity to kind of get to the next level of due diligence with those angel investors. The last event that we had was late May, early June, and it was at the Good Work Collective over on Union Street. We had 18 entrepreneurs present, so that program is really starting to take off as well. Exporting was an issue and an item that came through our company survey of stage 2 types of companies. Again, those companies that are looking to grow their business, 10 to 99 employees and $1 million or more in sales. Expanding into new markets was the #1 issue. So again, through our partnership with the MEDC, we've been working very diligently with them to really recreate the export program that they had many, many years ago, because it just kind of declined and declined and declined until we really had no exporting program. They've recommitted themselves to that, and they've carved out northern Michigan and the Upper Peninsula as a region, a regional focus for exporting opportunities, and they'll have 2 dedicated staff dedicated to our region in the near future for export opportunities. Really what we're seeing is we kind of look forward into the future, and the numbers are starting to support this, numbers that we collect, numbers that other organizations collect, is that it's not just about retaining business and helping businesses grow and expand here locally and trying to attract new business to our region. It's that plus one other key ingredient: talent. Talented individuals and talented workers. And when you think about the recent relocation of IE Effects, who knows IE Effects? Ever heard of them? Know what they do? They're from Hollywood, California. They're a 3D film animation company. So they do all of the post-production 3D animation. They've done it for Gulliver's Travel. They've done it for Green Lantern, and they're doing it for Harry Potter, which is coming out, I think, in July. So they currently have hired 14 new employees. Their hourly wage is between $25 and $65 an hour. They've hired several people from Traverse City, but not everybody is from Traverse City. They've brought people in from Germany, London, Indianapolis, California, and elsewhere. And these people, after talking with several of them at their open house, they are living in Traverse City, they're living in Grand Traverse County, they're living in other parts of the region as well. But they're working in Traverse City over on Division Street at the corner of Division and Randolph Street in that office complex over there. So it's really about the message that I'm trying to convey is that talented people who can do anything anywhere want to live, work, and play in a place that's as beautiful as this, and if they can live here, they'll figure out what to do. So we have really launched a lot of strategies around talent attraction and talent retention. We have working very closely, probably about 2 months into a very close working relationship with Traverse City Area Public School Systems to launch an alumni initiative to stay in touch with the school's alumni who leave here, go to college, but at some point they want to come back here. They want to bring their family back here. They want to raise their kids here. They want to bring their business here. They want to find a job here. We also partnered with the MEDC on a talent portal, and again, it's connecting talented individuals to those seeking talented employees. There are a couple of programs that we're starting to get involved with. One is called Michigan. It's a program of the MEDC, so it's a little play on words of Mish again. And it's the MEDC leading this effort by going to Chicago, Indianapolis, Boston, Washington, D.C., identifying people from Michigan and holding receptions and having activities for them to really, it's an opportunity to push and promote Michigan, and we're very seriously considering participation in that, in an opportunity to push and promote Grand Traverse County and the city of Traverse City. And then the last thing that we're looking at, Delta Airlines has come out with a video promoting Traverse City. They have exclusive rights to that for 30 days, but after that, they've given us permission to use that video, so we'll be using that as a video that promotes Traverse City. It's very similar to the Pure Michigan videos, and Pure Michigan is now starting to go local with promotion of local communities. Traverse City has already done a piece on, it's called, it's a Traverse City, Pure Michigan, but it's called True North. And it's a 30-second clip, and if you haven't seen it, I've got all your emails. I'd be happy to send you the link. It's very cool. And again, it's about Traverse City, but when you see the video, it's downtown Traverse City. They do a flyover, the harbor and into town as part of the video. They've got the bay, they've got the sand dunes, they've got orchards. It's all about Traverse City, but all the places you see aren't in Traverse City. They're in Leelanau County, they're in Benzie County, they're elsewhere. Which it really says to me and should say to us collectively that, Traverse City is the brand. People connect to Traverse City. They don't connect, they don't know where the city of Traverse City ends and Grand Traverse County ends and another county, picks up in terms of a county line. So the brand is Traverse City for our region, and we're going to continue to market and promote Traverse City as the brand. But as we look to do that in partnership with you and others, the entire region is going to benefit from the brand. So that's really all I have tonight. It's just, a solid update, I think, on business development activities and kind of some shifts of areas of focus on not just being about business, but being about talent and trying to attract talented people to this wonderful place we live in.
All right, questions? Commissioner Gilman.
You mentioned earlier the unemployment rate has dropped to the single digits in the area, which is a good thing. I was just wondering, however, to properly track that and look at those other numbers, is it as good a thing as it seems? Has your department, have you been following the employment numbers as a percentage of the population?
We have not, but we can certainly, do that, and we don't produce these numbers. They're really, they come through the Council of Governments, and we just track the unemployment.
It just seems that if we're going to, if you're determining, it's not up to me, but if you're determining whether or not something you're doing is working, or if employment numbers as a function are changing because of the activities of the EDC, then it seems you'd want to follow the actual numbers themselves of real employment instead of just a number that says whether or not people have filed for claims.
Right. No, that's a good point.
Commissioner Wheelock.
Well, we had the discussion with Senator Walker and Representative Schmidt last week. Unemployment numbers are unemployment numbers, but as an employer who has been actively attempting to hire personnel for the last 3 months, I cannot find qualified help. And I can give you the names of at least a dozen employers in this community that are in the same boat. There are not people out there that either can do the job or want to do the job.
Right. We would agree with your comments, Commissioner, and again, that's in part the reason we're focused on this talent component. If talent is not here, then we got to find a way to get talent to our community. There has been this sort of ever-waiting disconnect between what employers need and what potential employees have to offer. And by that, what I mean is, we've for the longest time had people in a high-paying job working a low-oriented type of technology job. And that is all shifted today. I mean, what you do and what others do in the community, there are a lot of high technology needs and requirements out there, certifications that need to be, held by, certain types of people in the trade sector, and it's hard to find.
Even trying to hire qualified or interested labor positions, they don't want to work that hard.
Right.
Not happening. Well, 2.5 years of unemployment have created a whole nother class of social welfare.
It's true.
It absolutely has. And you take some of these large companies that closed in our region, and they've drawn 2.5 years worth of unemployment, plus they receive benefits from the UAW. Do you think those people are going to go to work for $10 an hour? I don't think so.
No, I think you're right on. I mean, we look at, again, looking just at the unemployment numbers, the unemployment rate each and every month for the last 2.5 years has been over 11%.
All right, anyone else? Comments, questions? All right, thank you, Tino.
Thanks for your support.
Update.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. The next item is just for information, just to get your consensus on that. We did acknowledge Ross Childs last month at our board meeting for helping us out on an interim basis, which ended up being like a 3-year deal, to cover us for Chris Boudet's leave for the military. And we congratulated him on, on his willingness to help work with us and stay with us and get us through some tough times. And the only thing we were missing was a certificate thanking him. And he was unable to attend tonight's meeting. The certificate was prepared. We did see him today, and I gave him the certificate, so I just wanted to let you know that I handed him that certificate that you have on your desk. Also, as a follow-up from the press and notification from the state that Keith Charters is being recognized in July at the Traverse City State Park, and they're going to dedicate the state park, I believe, in his name, and I don't know if there's another gentleman involved or not, if it's just him. So Dennis and I talked about it. What we thought we'd do is prepare a certificate for your review. If you find it's acceptable, what I would like to do is present this certificate to Keith at this ceremony in July on behalf of the Board of Commissioners. I think it'd be a real nice touch to do that. So without objection, is that a consensus on that?
Yep.
All right, okay. So that clears special orders of business. We will move on to the reading of the consent calendar.
The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed therefrom and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussions. Such requests will be automatically respected. But if any item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted, receive and file or approval, is approved by a single commission action adopting the consent calendar. Receive and file. 1. Correspondence dated May 27, 2011, announcing challenge grant of $250,000 for a foundation. 2. Letter of agreement, TPOAM, Central Records, Teamsters District Court, and Teamsters Health Department. 3. Letters of agreement, Circuit Court Association and Circuit Court Supervisors. 4. June 8, 2011, letter from the Village of Fife Lake regarding fireworks. 5. Resolution in support of House Bill 4148, 4149, and 4150 from Gratiot County. 6. Northwest Michigan Community Action Agency minutes of March 17, 2011. 7. Boardman River Dam Implementation Team minutes of March 17, 2011. 8. Grand Traverse Central Dispatch Advisory Board minutes of April 14, 2011. 9. Grand Traverse Local Emergency Management Committee minutes of April 14, 2011. 10. Grand Traverse County Local Planning Team minutes of April 14th, 2011. 11, Northwest Regional Airport Commission minutes of April 19th, 2011. 12, Northwest Michigan Community Action Agency minutes of April 21st, 2011. 13, Solid Waste Management Planning Committee minutes of April 21st, 2011. 14, Board of Public Work minutes of April 25th, 2011. 15, Area Agency on Aging of Northwest Michigan minutes of May 5th, 2011. 16, Resource Recovery Council minutes of May 5th, 2011. 17, Grand Traverse Conservation District minutes of May 9th, 2011. 18, Sewer and Water Committee minutes of May 12th, 2011. 19, Michigan Northern Counties minutes of May 16th, 2011. 20, Grand Traverse Central Dispatch Advisory Board minutes of May 19th, 2011. 21, Northwest Regional Airport Commission minutes of May 24th, 2011. 22, Conservation Resource Alliance minutes of June 3rd, 2011. Referrals, no. Approvals, Public Health and Safety Committee recommends approval of the following resolutions. 23, Commission on Aging 2011 on-call services. 24, Comprehensive Planning, Budgeting, and Contracting Amendment Number 2. 25, Health Department Annual Report. 26, Staffing Plan Amendment and approval of new classification for the Health Department. Resource Management Administration Committee recommends approval of the following resolutions. 27, Health Department Building Project Request for Bids. 28, MSU Extension Approval of Memorandum of Agreement. 29, Reorganization of Resource Recovery. 30, Paper and Office Supplies Contracts for Office Depot. Ways and Means Committee recommends approval of the following resolutions. 31, approval to accept the Grand Traverse Sheriff's Office Marine Safety Grant. 32, Sheriff's Office Storage Building Change Order Number 4. 33, Justice Grant Additional Funding. 34, Document Imaging Scanners Maintenance. 35, Purchase of Track Books for Register of Deeds. 36, TC Talis Payment for Membership Dues. 37, Department of Environmental Quality Loan Union 76 Project. 38, 2012 Budget Process. 39, Custodial Cleaning Changes. 40, Budget Adjustments. 41, 2011 Tax Rate Request L4029. 42, Proposal for Central Services Indirect Cost Allocation Plan. 2% Application Review Ad Hoc Committee recommends approval of the following resolution. 43, approval and submission of applications for 2% grant funding from the Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians.
Okay. The clerk has read the consent calendar, which is the receive and file and the approvals from the Committee of the Wholes that are now being presented to the full board for their final approval. As a reminder, as a part of the approval of the agenda that was amended, item number 38, we're replacing that memo on your desk to replace for number 38, and number 41, that is a corrected one from Ways and Means. So does any member of the public wish to poll any of the items that were read under the consent calendar for further discussion? Hearing none, we will move to the Board of Commissioners. Does any commissioner wish to have an item polled?
Number 29, please.
Number 29, Richardson. Okay. Commissioner Maxbauer.
Number 27 and number 36.
Number 27 and what number?
36.
36. All right, Chris. Commissioner Gilman.
43, please.
43. Okay. Commissioner Henschel.
Number 4, please.
What number?
4.
4. And receive and file. Okay. Any other items? Yes, Dennis.
Mr. Chairman, item number 1, please.
Number 1. Receive and file. Are there any other items that the commission wishes to pull at this time?
Move for approval.
Support.
All right, we have a move by Commissioner Thomas, seconded by Commissioner Lemkool, to approve the consent calendar with the exception of item number 1, item 4, item number 27, item 29, and item number 36, and item number 43, which will appear later in the agenda under items removed from the consent calendar. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Gilman.
Yes.
Henschel.
Yes.
Lemko,
Yes.
Axbauer,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yep.
Wheelock,
Yes, ma'am.
Police,
Yes.
Chairman Inman.
Yes. All right. Consent calendar is approved as amended. We'll address those items later in the agenda that were pulled. Now we'll move on to the county administrator's report. Dennis, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sheriff Bensley is going to speak to this first item. You'll recall in Ways and Means, you were brought a request to approve the 2011 grant for operation and equipment, and he pointed out some changes that needed to be made to the equipment grant. So you approved the operational grant, and this is now the equipment grant. And I'll turn it over to the sheriff.
Sheriff, thank you for coming, and you have the floor.
Thank you. The numbers weren't accurate and correct the first time through, so I redid it, and they're in front of you this evening. Basically, the state has awarded us a grant to purchase a boat. They're paying 75% of the net cost. Our obligation is 25%. As you may recall, last year we purchased 2 new small patrol boats, 17 feet in length, with a federal grant through the DNR, and that was a 100% grant. It cost us nothing. This is for an identical boat, and this is on the state grant side, and they require a 25% match. We are getting rid of 2 boats. Hopefully, those boats, our estimated revenue from the sale of those 2 boats is $5,000. And the net ends up being $18,612. We're responsible for 25% of that. As you can see by the memo, they reimbursed us this year for last year's expenditures. $7,763 more than we had anticipated. So that would be our first choice to use that excess to pay for the our grant match portion.
All right. Does that conclude your report? Questions for the sheriff?
I just want to point out that the staff concurs with that recommendation.
All right. Okay. Commissioner Maxbauer.
I'm assuming you're saying boat and motor? I mean, boats generally don't wear out.
Boat, motor, and trailer.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions? Commissioner Wheelock.
Sheriff, how many, you have 2 boats right now that are a year old, plus you have the 2 large boats that are in the bays, right?
These are small boats for inland lake patrol.
Right, these are the 17-footers or?
Correct.
And we have 2 brand new ones now, right?
We have 2 new ones, okay, and want to get the third and get rid of 2 which we're currently using, also that were purchased in 1998 or 1999.
I'm trying to get an idea of how many boats that we have right now. We have
a boat for East and West Bay.
Right.
Unfortunately, one of those is in Kalamazoo being repaired. We have a 19-foot boat primarily used to support the dive team, which we've placed in West Bay because one of those boats is gone. We have 2 1999, I'll say, 17-foot boats. We're using both of those because one of the brand new boats we got last year, because of technology, it's a wonderful thing, has been broke for 3 weeks. They can't figure out the computers. And then we have a small 14-foot boat, runabout.
And how many people do we have on the Marine Division staff now?
There are 4 seasonal officers, and we have a contract with Long Lake Township, and they pay for an officer for patrol on the weekends on Long Lake, and that money is funded by the Long Lake Association, funneled to the township.
I'm very familiar with that contract.
Don't you still have an airboat, too?
Yes, that was a donation from the community. I can't tell you.
10 years ago?
8 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago. Yes.
Does
We don't use that in the summer.
And your match part is coming from?
Excess revenue, which covers last year's operational grant.
Excess revenue that we received from the state for the Marine program that we received at the end of last year.
Oh, okay, all right.
They gave us more than they said they were going to.
Needs to
Darn
be
it.
spent in the Marine program.
Right. Okay. All right, do we have a
Can I
recommendation?
make a motion to approve?
Okay. All right, move Commissioner Lemkool to approve the recommendation to acquire the boat with the match money as presented. Seconded by Commissioner Thomas. Is there discussion? Commissioner Wheelock.
I guess, my only comment is, I understand this is cost neutral and, we probably can look at that, but, as we look at cutting back programs, we seem to be growing this one, and we got 2 boats that are brand new. I don't know why we need a 3rd boat when we only have 4 officers. I was.
Okay. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate it. Next, Dennis? Or Dean?
Dean.
You should have the claims for the month of May. We did not bring those last month. That was an oversight on the Finance Department's part. We just did not get them to you. Need approval on the May claims totaling $9,357,968.63.
Okay. Commissioner Richardson?
I would move for approval of claims and that amount, please.
And that would be for May
For May, May.
only?
yes.
May?
Yes.
Or June?
No, May.
May.
Support.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Richardson to approve the May claims, and it's seconded by Commissioner Fleece. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, passes. All right.
Also ask for your approval on the June claims totaling $7,933,863.38.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Fleece,
Support.
seconded by Commissioner Wheelock to approve the June claims report for the Finance Committee. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Okay, Dennis, you have the POAM item?
Yep. This is a recommendation that was a result of negotiations that were requested by POAM deputies. Their contract does not expire till the end of this year. I have included a resolution for your later consideration that details out the components of the proposal from the union, but I'm requesting that we hold off on this until we have a closed session to discuss the financial implications.
All right, okay. So we will hold on that until a closed session and come back. Next item is the attorney, it's just for information only. Whenever a commissioner or anyone else asks for an opinion from Bob, we try to get that on the agenda so everybody's aware of the information he's presenting.
But Bob is here if anyone has questions about those opinions.
Okay.
And that concludes my items.
Any questions, Commissioner Henschel?
Just one thing kind of puzzled me about the memo regarding TC Talus, and that is the fact that this is the end of June and that was dated April. And I did get a copy of this because I asked for it personally through email directly to him, but if our attorney sent us a memo, why wasn't it in a packet earlier?
I believe the board did receive a copy of the opinion.
Did we?
We probably emailed it to you or was put in your box.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Whenever that occurs, we just get it right out to you. But Dennis felt we should just put it on the agenda for public notice.
Okay.
All right. And that concludes item 4. Item 5, Dennis, did you want to make any remarks about the tribe meeting that occurs on the same date? Dennis?
Oh, I was going to do that down under the notices, but I've been asked and invited to attend a meeting tomorrow night with with tribal representatives and their attorneys who will be working on the compact issues and on the agreements with the county for cross-deputization and items such as that. I've talked to the chairman about it, and since we have the other things covered for our joint county-township meetings,
he feels, and I concur, that it would be best that I attend the tribal meeting. And I just wanted to let you know that that's where I'll be tomorrow night. But the chairman will be there to run the meeting, and we have representatives for each of the issues there. If that's a problem for commissioners, though, I just wanted you to know it ahead of time.
So, are we okay with that?
So you're not going to be at the joint meeting then tomorrow?
That's correct. I'll be at the tribe meeting.
All right, that concludes, does that conclude the administrator's report?
It does.
All right. We will now move on to the items. We've been here for an hour and a half. Does the commission wish to take a break or keep going?
We'll keep going.
All right. We'll move on to items removed from the consent calendar. The first one is item number 1 under receive and file. Dennis?
Yes. I announced this grant to the county board last month, but it was brought to my attention that really the county does need to accept the grant, the $250,000, even though technically the money will be, we're still determining when the money will come. So I'm asking you to consider the acceptance of the grant from Fry Foundation.
All right. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we accept the $250,000 grant from the Fry Foundation toward the removal of the Port River dams.
Moved by Commissioner Wheelock. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Fleece. Is there discussion on the motion?
We'll have to do a roll call.
Yeah, I will do a roll call. All right. Hearing no discussion? All right, we will do a roll call vote, please, on that.
What is this?
Commissioner Henschel?
Do you need clarification of the motion?
Yeah.
All right, we are under item number 1, receive and file.
This is separate.
No, this is something that was just being passed out.
Second separate, I'm sorry.
All right. You're all set on where we're at?
Can you just read the motion real quick? Read the motion, please.
Yes, the motion is to move forward with the acceptance of the Fry Foundation grant of $250,000. It is under item number 1, receive and file. Dennis is indicating we need to accept the challenge grant. So we will do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Henschel?
Yes.
Lemko?
Yes.
Maxbauer?
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yep.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Fleece?
Yes.
Gilman?
No.
Chairman Inman?
Yes. Motion passes with one nay. Item number 4, Commissioner Henschel, you have the floor. Receive and file.
Thank you. Fife Lake, the Chamber of Commerce of Fife Lake, which we don't hear about nearly as much as we do the Traverse City Chamber of Commerce, requested some funding for their fireworks this 4th of July, and I would move that this board allocate $500 from our contingency fund towards their fireworks.
Is there support for that motion?
I'll support that.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Henschel, seconded by Commissioner Fleece, to appropriate $500 for the Village of Fife Lake fireworks. Discussion, Commissioner Lemko.
Yeah, it was my recollection when we voted on the Cherry Festival, it also included the Fife Lake that we would not fund it. So what's the process?
Oh,
It doesn't
you're
have to be
right.
brought up?
That was absolutely right.
Well, I guess if I could...
It's a different amount.
Speak to that.
Yeah.
It's not only a different amount, but that was not a request made from Fife Lake. That was actually something the commissioners added to a motion that was being requested for fireworks for Traverse City. So, and it just so happened that after that date, we received a letter from Fife Lake Chamber asking for a donation.
Yeah.
So I think it is different from that in that regard.
I guess I do recall the motion, and it included not
It
funding
did.
Fife Lake.
That's
Township.
correct.
But I guess we'll ask Bob if we can have an opinion if the dollar amount, if the motion is to change the dollar amount during the same month, would we need a motion to reconsider first? and
What was
get
the
a
original
two-thirds
dollar
pass?
amount?
I believe it was $1,000.
Yeah, I would agree it's a different motion.
It's a different motion.
Because
Okay,
it's a
all right.
substantial
So we will have that opinion. Commissioner Richardson.
Is there a reason that this issue from Fife Lake was never put on an agenda anymore?
We received it on June 8th. It was after the board had taken action, and it was a correspondence to the board. I did not have any indication that the board wanted to vote on it.
Right.
Or no commissioner asked me to place it on an agenda. So this just comes as regular information to the board.
Well, honestly, Dennis, we couldn't have asked you because we didn't get it until we got the packet, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. So we just assumed it would go under correspondence.
That's true.
We received an email with this just after it came in. So it was in an email almost 2 weeks ago.
I don't recall whether
Yeah,
it was sent in.
it was right after our meeting, it came through on an email.
Right.
Okay, I don't recall that, but Commissioner Wheelock, did you have something?
I guess my comment would be, at least from my perspective, the decision was made not to fund fireworks in 2011, and I won't be supporting this motion.
Yes, Central and Police.
All right. Commissioner Richardson?
I did support the Traverse City fireworks. It was defeated, and if we're not going to give money to that fireworks display, I don't know why we'd give money to this one either, so.
Commissioner Flees?
I believe we have two different total issues here. Number one, the Independence Day fireworks. Previously, the Veterans Coalition had solicited donations from townships and municipalities. We decided, or the Veterans Coalition decided not to do that last fall and sent a letter to all entities stating that because of the economic conditions, they weren't going to ask for those donations. So the Visitors Bureau, to my recollection, waits until our last meeting, approached us, and wanted a donation of $5,000 for Independence Day. I personally asked them if they had solicited any funds from private enterprise, which the answer was no. We have supported Fife Lake Fireworks, the village of Fife Lake, for years, and I think it would be grossly unfair and inappropriate for us not to continue that appropriation, Commissioner Wheelock, as an earlier conversation, because we have a commitment, I feel, and Fife Lake probably gets very few. Well, if I'm not mistaken, the appropriation they get for the Independence Day fireworks is all they get from the county. So I think we need to pass this motion. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? Commissioner Richardson?
I'd like to make a motion to amend.
Got a motion on the floor.
We have a motion.
I can make a motion to amend the motion.
Under Robert's rules, he can request.
And
You can amend it. He doesn't know what he said.
My motion to amend is
Okay.
that we would also add in $2,500 to the Tourism Bureau for the Traverse City fireworks as well.
All right. Is there a second on that motion?
Support.
All right. Mr. Cooney, do you have the same opinion, since it's a different dollar amount, it's allowable without a motion to reconsider?
Yes.
All right, okay. So let's vote on the amendment. All in favor of...
Can I just make a
Yes?
comment on the amendment?
Sure. Discussion on the
And
amendment.
I'm okay with it. I just, I thought I read in the news that the fireworks are already funded completely.
They are, according to the
Okay, so-
Record Eagle.
The Traverse City fireworks are already funded, and we're just going to give more. I just wanted to be clear that I understood that correctly.
All right. Is there any discussion on the amendment?
I would
Commissioner
like a
Flees?
roll call vote on that, please.
Yes, we'll have a roll call
This would be the
vote.
vote on
This
the
is just
amendment.
on the amendment to include $2,500 for the city fireworks, Traverse City fireworks. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Lemkool,
Yes.
Max Bauer,
No.
Richardson,
Yes.
Thomas,
No.
Wheelock,
No.
Fleece,
No.
Gilman,
No.
Henschel,
No.
and Chairman Inman.
Yes, motion fails with 3 yeses, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Now we're right back to the original motion on the floor there's a motion and a support to allocate $500 to the Fife Lake fireworks. Is there discussion on that motion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Max Bauer,
No.
Richardson,
No.
Thomas,
No.
Wheelock,
No.
Fleece,
Yes.
Gilman,
No.
Henschel,
Yes.
Lemkool,
No.
Chairman Inman.
Yes. All right, motion fails with 3 yeses.
I got to have a motion to receive and file.
That would be correct. Do we have a motion to do that?
Yes.
All right, moved by Commissioner Thomas. Support. Receive and file item number 4, seconded by Commissioner Wheelock. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes. All right. Now we go to item number 27, pulled by Commissioner Maxbauer. You have the floor.
I won't be consenting.
Okay. Any other
Motion to
comments?
approve the Health Department building project.
All right, we have a motion to approve item number 27, the Health Department Building Project, request for bids. It was seconded by Commissioner Fleece. Is there discussion? Commissioner Henschel.
Just a clarification that this is only an RFQ. We're not voting to bid on, or to build the
That's
thing
correct.
right now.
Yeah, we're just getting information.
It's a request for proposals.
Request for proposals.
Yeah, right.
We will do bid specifications and go out on bid, but we will not, it's not building the building.
Right. All right, okay. Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yep.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Fleece?
Yes.
Gilman?
Yes.
Henschel?
Yes.
Lemko?
Yes.
Maxbauer?
No.
Chairman Inman?
Yes, motion passes with 1 nay. We will now move on to item number 29. Commissioner Richardson, you have the floor.
Okay, and what I passed out, and I'm sorry for the earlier confusion, I was just trying to save a little time. If we turn to the page, it's 94. What I'm proposing here, what I passed out, is a replacement for the last paragraph of page 94.
Okay.
And the reason for this is that when we discussed this previously at Resource Management and Administration, we talked about, reviewing what the Resource Recovery Council would be without making any specifications. And I don't know how much, I don't think there's been much discussion on what those specifications would be. And what my replacement paragraph does basically is just say, bring it back to us, bring it back to this board, and we'll figure out, size, membership, makeup, and meeting frequency.
All right.
There was some discussion from both Commissioner Wheelock, and I have heard from some members of the Resource Recovery Council that they weren't real happy with the idea of only 5 members on that board. So that was my main reason for this.
Do we have a motion to?
I'll move to concur with the change.
So the motion on the floor is to replace the wording on the final paragraph, and the rest of the resolution stays in place. Is there further, do we have a support?
No.
Do we have a second? Seconded by Commissioner Fleece. Do we have discussion on the item? Commissioner Wheelock.
I guess my only comment would be the resolution that was in your packet was what was recommended by the Resource Recovery Director, and I believe that was outlined to the Resource Recovery Council at their meeting last week, or this month. I was not there in attendance. But.
I've gotten a couple of different comments, but it seems that some of that information may have been discussed at the Resource Recovery Council, and not all of it. But I think I would just concur with Commissioner Richardson's change to the resolution, because remember what we talked about last week is we will have the attorney bring back the various documents, and when we bring back each of those documents, you'll then have the opportunity to decide the size of the board and those kinds of things. And I think this makes good sense.
All right. Is there any other discussion on the replacement of the paragraph, the final paragraph? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Fleece?
Yes.
Gilman?
Yes.
Henschel?
Yes.
Lemko?
Yes.
Maxbauer?
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes.
Chairman Inman?
Yes, motion passes. No nays. We will now move on to item number 36.
Well, that was a motion to amend that.
Amend the paragraph.
The paragraph.
You're correct. I stand corrected. Now I need a motion to approve the resolution as
I
amended.
would move that we approve the resolution as amended.
Okay.
Support.
All right, moved by Commissioner Richardson, seconded by Commissioner Wheelock, to approve the resolution as amended. Thank you for that clarification, Commissioner Gilman. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes. Thank you. We will now move on to item number 36. Commissioner Maxbauer, you have the floor.
Yes, I won't be consenting.
Okay? Do we have a motion on this item?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to make the appropriation as budgeted in the 2011 budget to TC Talus an amount of $16,875.
Support.
All right, moved by Commissioner Wheelock, seconded by Commissioner Lemkool to approve the resolution as presented in our packet. Is there discussion? Commissioner Gilman.
I won't drone on as I did.
All right.
I have one question for the chair. Does the chair believe this will be the last year for Talus funding by the county?
I cannot give you 100% on that, and I will, if Matt feels comfortable about this, I think the issue in the discussion at Ways and Means, and I can stand corrected if you wish, was that my understanding is that all the partners have paid, except for Grand Traverse County, the membership fee, and what they would like to do is engage in a strategic overview plan of Talus, their mission, their goals, and the format that currently is structured, and have the community involved in a community determination with the partners that are currently paying as well, and determining what would be the best way to look at regional transportation planning, and whether the format would be TC Talus or whether it would be in another form or something totally different. So they want to go through this evaluation, community input process, and make that determination and come back and report prior to the next membership dues being billed. And Commissioner Richardson, did you have any comments on that item since you're the representative?
Yeah, the main comment I would like to make, first of all, the $16,875 is a 10% reduction from what it was last year and for quite a few years before that. The other comment is that in terms of the county, this money is highly leveraged. The total budget of TC Talus is somewhere in the vicinity of a little over $100,000. The biggest share is paid by the state of Michigan. They're contributing $50,000. The Road Commission is contributing $35,000, which is actually a bargain for them because they were employing a full-time planner, who I think was Matt Skeels, and paying all of his salary before TC Talus was formed. So this is what we're doing here as a slice. And as far as going back to your question, yes, I would be happy to have that discussion about, when we go through the budget next year, of whether we're going to get, anything for our money, okay? And that's a legitimate question, very legitimate. And my other comment is that the strategic planning is actually being done at my suggestion. I brought it up at a TC Talus meeting and said, look, we need to define ourselves better than what we are right now, because honestly, for the last several years, they've been absorbed in overseeing the grand vision, not the, social engineering portion of the grand vision, but the actual transportation study, data gathering portion of the grand vision.
Never say social engineering here.
Yeah, all right. Okay, do we have any other questions? Commissioner Wheelock.
I guess the comment that I would make is, I believe we made a commitment for an appropriation in the 2010 budget for TC Talus. I'm more than willing to have a discussion when we're drafting our 2012 budget of whether or not we're going to continue to fund that, but I believe we've made a commitment to fund it in 2011, and therefore we are responsible to do that.
Okay. Commissioner Gilman and then Commissioner Henschel.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Have we made any other commitments in our 2010 budget that we've had to cut this year?
Excuse me, I think we're talking about 2011
budget. I'm sorry, I think I said 10.
Okay, 2011 budget.
Since we've adopted the budget, I don't recall anything that we have not funded, other than maybe the fireworks. No, the fireworks were not in the budget.
They were never budgeted.
They were not.
No, so I'm not familiar with anything that we've turned.
Not anything like this, but we cut $712,000
We did make an
out of the
adjustment in the
budget.
2011 budget.
But that was things like excess money that we had in the retirement fund and items like that. But yes, we did make other
The
cuts.
amortization differential.
That's correct.
That kind of thing. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, as far as we know. Okay, any other questions? Commissioner Henschel.
Did we have any written agreement with TC Talus that we said we would pay this much this year?
No, there is no written agreement, I don't believe. It was just the appropriation of the board and the budget.
Is there
hearings.
is there a structural agreement that we're a partner and then
There
we
is
get annual?
there is an agreement, and it's been in place for years and years, Matt, but there is no contract as such.
Okay.
Well, I'm not really talking about a contract, but I mean, we put our name down saying that we're going to be a
Yes.
part of this, and whatever the dues are, we're going to pay it.
That's correct.
Okay. Well, I got to admit to being on the fence a lot this last couple weeks on this issue, and I've had some good conversations with fellow commissioners and some county employees and former county employees, and I sat down with Matt Skeel, and I found him to be a very level-headed and professional director of this organization. I got to say, I'm leaning towards not wanting to fund it based on the results I see for our dollar, but at the same time, I have an ethical issue of our name being on the paper saying we're part of this and us not paying our dues, so to speak. If we withdraw from the club, then we don't pay the dues, but until we do that, I think I should vote to pay for it.
Is there any other discussion? Commissioner Thomas?
But just for a little history, way back when Talus was formed, if you wanted to be in on, you had to be in on highway or transportation planning. The township didn't have to join, or the county didn't have to join, but if they wanted to be eligible for any federal dollars, they had to be in on it. And I don't know if that's changed. Has that changed?
It's not, that's not the case.
Matt, you can
Okay.
come up if you
But
wish.
that's the way it used to be. That if you didn't belong to Talus,
Yeah.
you lived in.
Matt, you're
Well,
welcome to
we'll
come
go-
up to the podium and answer a question. And just get yourself introduced for the audience.
Matt Skeels, Director of TC Talus, and my chairman and I were here at Ways and Means, and we went through a discussion with the board, and appreciate your time again tonight. I won't belabor the points that we made last, well, it was a couple weeks ago, I guess.
Yeah, last Wednesday.
And last month. But, we hope the board will continue its membership. We're looking forward to, as Mr. Richardson said, our strategic planning process to help redefine what Talus needs to do to answer its membership more appropriately into the future. And that's where we're going.
All right. Any other questions? Questions or comments? Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve item number 36 as presented. We will have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Fleece?
No.
Gilman?
No.
Henschel?
Yes.
Lemko?
Yes.
Maxbauer?
No.
Richardson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yep.
Chairman Inman?
Yes, motion passes with 3 nays. Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you, Board. That moves us to item number 43. Commissioner Gilman, you have the floor.
Well, I just, apologize.
That's page 116.
Yes, I, digging
We're all
through
getting there.
digging through the piles.
All right.
Actually, what I'd like to do is, I don't know if this would require a motion or just a recommendation to the administration. It'd be nice to have a copy of this list forwarded to the several local high-profile charities who also address these issues as well, just to let them know that these were priorities that were considered for the 2%. In other words, to let them know that these are priorities in the community.
So we would, if I could try to add to that, if the motion passes, then this information obviously would be part of the minutes and of the meeting, and it would be sent to the, it would also be part of public information. Would be sent to the tribe in terms of a recommendation on our part. And Dennis, would this be something that would be added to our website as information, or no?
It certainly could be.
Okay, and then I think that would be an adequate notice to the public.
And could we read these for the record? I mean, for the folks?
Sure,
We're
you have the
watching.
floor.
All right. The highest ranked applications, there were 6 of them, and that's the Traverse Bay Children's Advocacy Center is number 1. Number 2 is the Father Fred Foundation. Number 3 is Goodwill Industries of Northern Michigan. Number 4 is the Grand Traverse Health Department for Northwest Michigan Food and Farming. Number 5 is the Traverse Health Clinic, and number 6 is the American Red Cross. The mid-ranked, and I'm just going to include the mid-ranked, and we'll go, we can
You can just
proceed
keep
from
going
there.
right down to the bottom.
Okay. Number 7, Northwestern Michigan Community Action Agency. Number 8, the Third Level Crisis Intervention Center. Number 9, Angel Works. Number 10, Grand Traverse Pavilions. Number 11, Grand Traverse Conservation District. And number 12, Grand Traverse Dyslexia Association. The final 6, Volunteer Center at United Way, At-Risk Boxing Program, United Way for Northwest Michigan 211 Partnership, Michigan Land Use Institute, Child and Family Services, and Mountain Holiday.
All right, okay,
Thank you.
And it would be helpful, I think, if Commissioner Wheelock, who chaired this committee, could explain to the public how we handle the process.
Well, I guess the comments would be, you know, we all recognize the names of these agencies, or most of them, but understand that there's a lot more to the application process than just the names of the agencies. They're asking for 2% money. Just as a little bit of background, 1998, I believe it was, 96, 98, the compact was signed between Governor Engler and the Grand Traverse Band that requires that 2% of the money, or 2% of the proceeds of electronic gaming be reissued back to the community through its local governmental agencies. People can make application to the tribe for this 2% money through the city, the village, the townships, or the county. Up until a year ago, Grand Traverse Band gave us no criteria by which we could judge them or any opportunity to rank them. And through a number of discussions, probably, you know, it might come as a surprise to you, but I was a little verbal about it, they at least allowed us an opportunity to have some input. So we rank these based on the following criteria: that it engages the community, it addresses a community need, it demonstrates an impact, evidence of innovation, evidence of collaboration, demonstrates need, the portion of Grand Traverse County population served, evidence of a long-term funding plan, alignment with the county's mission and vision, and demonstrates accountability for the funds. You know, and the applications are pretty thorough. You know, and you know, if those commissioners that did not receive copies of the applications, I'm sure we can make them available to you. And it is interesting to read through the applications and realize how innovative some of these programs are and how difficult it is to find funding for them. You know, there's some of them that, and we ranked all of these in each of these categories, 1 through 5, and you know, I'm sure that my score sheets aren't the same as Ross's or Chris's or Larry's. You know, I'm sure there's some differences, but the fact is, we all ranked these and at least had an opportunity to have input. So, you know, I appreciate that effort.
All right, Commissioner Gilman.
And I'd like to say that I appreciate the efforts of the committee to look at these and really determine where those needs really are. And I appreciate the time that you spent on that. Thank you.
Clarification, in your opening remarks, did you make a motion?
I didn't. I was not sure if I should make a motion or if just a recommendation.
It's up to you to, at this point, if you'd like to make a recommendation to approve the resolution as presented.
I'd like to make a recommendation to approve the resolution as.
I'll support that.
All right, moved by Commissioner Gilman, seconded by Commissioner Wheelock to approve the resolution for the tribal grants, item number 43 as presented. Is there discussion? Commissioner Lemko.
Yeah, I'm having a real problem with this, and I appreciate what Mr. Wheelock is trying to do on this thing, but none of you have ever gone through the training to determine how to go through a funding application. You know, other than Rob and myself probably on that. And as you know, it's very difficult to give money away because you have to be able to tell a lot of people that you're not going to be able to fund them. My concern, I have two concerns here. First of all, is that this is a recommendation by 3 members that were part of the committee, not for the whole County Board of Commissioners. And the other concern I have is that when you start doing this and ranking this, and none of the other government agencies do this, that you're going to start chasing all the 2% applications over to other governmental agencies because they don't go through the process. So all they do is they rubber stamp and put it through. I'm very concerned about those two particular issues, and particularly I'm concerned that those of us that were not on the committee didn't have any input into this. I do appreciate the work that's being done. It's really very difficult to do. So, you know, I cannot support this issue because of those two issues.
All right. And were you present when we created the committee?
Yeah, I was.
I don't recall you.
Nobody was turned away.
But I wasn't here. I wasn't going to be here for that week.
All right, okay.
Well, I guess the comment that I would make in that
then I'll
regard, first,
go to-
I resent the fact that you're saying I'm not qualified to look at these applications, because I do resent that just a little bit. I've been here a long time. I've been reading an awful lot of these grant applications for the last 14 years. And I've been very active in trying to get the tribe to make the change to allow us to have input on having them ranked instead of just passing them all on. But secondly, it's just the idea that we've gotten these things, we have an opportunity to have input on them, and the new compact's going to come out in 2013. Dennis is going to meeting tomorrow night. I can almost guarantee you that when the new compact is signed, this money will not be distributed this way. It's not distributed in any other community in the state like this.
Yep.
But at least now, they've started to give us an opportunity to have input. We better be doing it. Because when 2013 compact is renewed, I would almost guarantee you an independent committee will make the appointment, the distinction of how this money's given away. Up until this, we had no opportunity. And we still only have opportunity to have a little bit of input. The sole discretion of how this money is distributed lies with the Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa Chippewa Indians, period. They can take our input, they don't have to take our input. They're going to distribute the money as they see fit. At least we now have an opportunity to have a little bit of input on it, and I appreciate the fact that they've given us that opportunity, and that's all I've got to say.
Commissioner Richardson.
Herb, I guess my question would be, would you be more comfortable if the next time we do this, which will be, I guess, probably in December, that the entire county board sit in on it instead of just...
Yes, I think, yeah, if you're going to do this, I think, excuse me, I think so, yeah.
Let's discuss that going forward then, for sure, because, I mean, there's no reason why, everybody couldn't participate if they wanted to.
My point in your remark is that the board does set up a number of ad hoc committees, and that, part of the ad hoc committee process is that the other commissioners that do not volunteer place trust on the judgment of those individuals going through that information and bring that back to the board. So, there's a fundamental question of trust and judgment, that it's really at point.
My only point is I didn't have any input into this, so therefore, how can I support it?
Well, you don't have input on appointments if you're not part of the member of the committee, appointment committee.
Right.
But, we have to discuss that. I mean, do we have, as a board, do we have the comfort level in creating ad hoc committees every time we have an issue and having commissioners work on it and decide and coming back with a recommendation? Commissioner Fleece.
I think our ad hoc committees this past year have worked well. And Herb, I don't see the wisdom of having the board of the whole board at every meeting to discuss every issue. You have a certain amount of trust. There's times that I'm not able to attend for whatever reasons certain ad hoc committees that I used to be on and I'm not on anymore. But I trust my fellow commissioners, and I think Commissioner Wheelock said it pretty adequately. He's been here a long time, and I'm sure the 3 commissioners that were on that board did due diligence, and I would trust your judgment. And I will support it.
It's 4 of us.
4 of it.
Okay, is there any discussion, additional discussion on the motion on the floor? And the motion is to approve the item 43 as presented. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Fleece?
Yes.
Gilman?
Yes.
Henschel?
Yes.
Lemko?
No.
Max Bauer?
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yep.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Chairman Newman?
Yes. Motion passes with 1 nay. Now that brings us to, we've concluded the removed items from the consent calendar. We will move on to no unfinished business. There is none. We see nothing on our agenda for new business, which brings us to the second public comment. Does any member of the public wish to speak at this time? And if you do, the rules have been read. Keep it within 3 minutes. We'd appreciate it.
Probably forgot what they were going to say.
Thank you for staying. It's 9 o'clock, long meeting. Hearing no indication from the public wishing to speak, we will close the second public comment. We will move on to commissioner comments and committee reports. Anybody wish to bring anything up? Commissioner Max Bauer?
I've got a couple of items. The Parks Board at their last meeting voted not to go out for an RFQ to look for an operator for Easling Pool. Also at the last Parks and Rec Commission meeting, Commissioner Rebecca Cass made a proposal to the Parks Board to have an event called Save and Renovate the Easling Pool event. Now, this passed unanimously, the concept passed unanimously. The actual event itself, you know, I'm going to bring it back to the Parks Board, and I will be perfectly honest with you. It's because, as you see, I gave each of you a copy in your mailbox of an example of the event. The Parks Department plans on selling beer, and you know, you have to all take into consideration, I voted against allowing alcohol at the Civic Center. I feel it's a family park, and you know, and it just doesn't have a place. So, but the Parks Board is, you know, going to move forward with this, and I just wanted you all to be aware that the Parks Board may be selling beer. The other item that I have to share with you is basically a story. I went over to the Civic Center on the 21st of June, which was a Tuesday, to attend a dam meeting. And I walked into the Civic Center, and it was about 3 o'clock, 3:30. I walked in, and I saw every single light in Howe Arena on. So I whipped out my camera, and I took a picture of every single light. And I've seen this a number of times. They have a day camp over there. You know, there were some children in a corner, but the whole place was lit up. And I've seen this time after time after time. And I had a meeting with Dennis on Thursday scheduled. So I whipped my camera out and I took a picture of the lights, because I wanted to know from Dennis if we could maybe somehow section off, if they are sectioned off, I don't know. I was just basically looking at energy efficiency. I took a picture, and a lifeguard that was in the Howe Arena said, "You can't take a picture of these kids." Those were his words. And I knew him. He had been a lifeguard over at the Civic Center in the past. He knew I was a county commissioner. And I just looked at him and said, my exact words were, "This is a public park, sir." Now, I want you all to know that I've had conversations with a number of attorneys about this, including Mr. Cooney. And when you are in a public space, a public park, you may take a photograph. And I was in the lobby. I did not enter Howe Arena. So I took a picture. And I went in to the ladies' locker room. I have a locker there. I pay rent. I came out about a half an hour later to attend the meeting, and I'm confronted by the lifeguard, and this time a gentleman who's standing there and holds out his hand and said, "Commissioner Max Bauer, I'm so-and-so, the day camp director." And I smiled and I said, "Hi, I'm Chris." And he said, "I want to know what you're taking pictures of those kids for." And I said, "If you have a problem," all I said was, "If you have a problem, you need to take it up with the county administrator." And I walked around him and went into the Boardman River Dam meeting. Set my stuff down, my backpack, get up to go get a soda. I walk out into the lobby, and yet another employee is standing there and said, "Maxine, I want to know what you were taking pictures for." And I looked at him and I said, "It's none of your business." And, I mean, the three employees were rude, they were confrontational, and there were a few things I wanted to say, but I held my tongue. I went into the Borden River Dam meeting. The next day, I went over to the sewer and water meeting, Wednesday night, where I got to hear Jack Kelly, the supervisor of Elmwood Township, say he's not going to sign the agreement regarding the septic treatment facility. Elmwood Township's not signing it. But anyway, that's why I was there Wednesday. I see a sign taped on the window, and it looks like it was drawn in crayon, and I've got a picture of it, because you know me, here I am, saying, stop. City, county, day campers only. Beyond this point, no photographs, no video. So this was Wednesday. So Thursday morning, I called Mr. Cooney, and I went, you know, Bob, did I do something wrong as a member of the public? And he said, no, you did not. You were in a public space. And I've had the same conversation with Grant Parsons, with a long list of attorneys in town. So I thought, but I wanted to make sure from Mr. Cooney, our legal counsel, whether I had done anything wrong. And I had not. So I came in and I told Dennis about it, and I asked him to speak with Mr. Byfoss, which he was kind enough to do. I wanted two things. I wanted the sign to come down. This was a county park. And I wanted an apology. Well, I didn't get the apology. Actually, Mr. Byfoss said, you know, on behalf of the employees, I apologize. But I met with Mr. Byfoss, and I told him, you know, I said, I have a couple of problems. I said, number one, I said, you know, this is a county park. And at the time, I didn't know these were city employees, but the three of them were city employees.
Commissioner, I want to interrupt. I'm glad you added that.
Yes.
Up until that point, it sounded like these were county employees.
No, these were city employees. You know, telling members of the public what they can and can't do in a county park. Now, as you know, I sit on the Parks Rules Committee. I know the rules. I'm a county commissioner. All of them knew I was a county commissioner. And Mr. Byfoss actually said to me, they were concerned you would use the picture inappropriately. Now, now that's a stretch.
Did you watch the later video tonight?
All right. Anything else?
Yes. All right. This people are missing, somehow have missed the point. I go over to the Civic Center again Monday morning, and I went in to renew my husband's pool membership. And all the lights, once again, are on in Howe Arena. Every single light. This is at 11:30. Sign in the window that says, day campers, gone until 4:30. So my husband went over at around 4 o'clock to swim. Lights are still all on in Howe Arena. No children. I get a call Monday night from Commissioner Harry Leapsight, who sits on the Parks Board, who says, I was over there all day for a seminar. Why were the lights on from 10 in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon with no one in Howe Arena? So, I would like to know who's paying for those lights, why they're on when people are not using the facility, and how we can get the city to please turn them off.
Well,
when they're not there. I'm sorry, now I'll be quiet.
no, I think that's a good idea. I have checked with Danny Brown, and the lights are set up on two banks. First of all, the week that you were there, and I can't specify the times, we were in the process of changing out all the lights with the grants that we received to put the low energy lights in, so the electricians were in there working on lights. But the lights are on banks. Every other row can be shut off. So either you shut off every other light, the odd ones or the even ones. That's the way it's set up, because it was originally set up for conventions and things like that. So we could shut off half the lights, at least. And when they're not there, there's no reason we can't shut off all the lights. And so I've asked Jason to look at that and to talk with the city people about doing that so we can cut the use of any energy that when we don't have people in there.
Do we bill them for that, or do we pay for it?
They pay part of the overhead, you know, of the facility in their cost of renting it, but they run the program.
So it would save them money if they're gone for 6 hours.
It would save us money.
It would save us money. That's
All
what I
right.
want.
Okay. Anything
Thank
else,
you.
Commissioner Maxwell? All right, Commissioner Thomas.
I would say that if the doors are open, there should be plenty of lights on for safety reasons.
Well, I know
If
that the
nothing
city,
else. If the doors are unlocked,
we were told
should be
that
lit.
the city employees, when they have children in there, and oftentimes they are using the whole facility, exercising, doing things like that, they want the lights on during that time. But certainly, when there's nobody in there,
There wasn't.
if the doors
You
are
know-
unlocked, the lights should be on.
Yeah.
Otherwise, somebody's liable.
So we are going to look at that, and we're going to find a way to reduce the use of those lights.
All right, okay. Any, Commissioner Gilman?
Just a little bit on the library board meeting a couple weeks ago. The event that happened in the library where the officer was stabbed, that of course has brought up security concerns once again. And obviously, the other incidents happening around the library has also helped to reinforce those concerns. So they are going to be looking, the board is going to be looking into what they can do. They're talking about the biological hazard. Of course, the officer was stabbed and he was bleeding, so how to deal with those situations. It appears, and this is my observation, it appears that the director doesn't want to have cameras in there. And I did comment, as I am, somewhat of an expert in this area and somewhat conversant in privacy, what have you. But as an opinion, I did offer an opinion that as a library, her concerns are privacy for the patrons. As far as privacy goes, it's a public place, and I said so. I said as a public place where you have innocence and adulthood, adult content, it's probably not a bad place that we do have sufficient coverage and protection for those people in there, and I think that people can check their privacy concerns at the door in a public place. So.
Okay, all right. And Commissioner Wheelock?
I just want to mention, on May 25th last month, this Board of Commissioners approved the amendment to the county solid waste plan. By June 20th, all 13 townships, city, and the 2 villages had approved that. And on the 21st, it was forwarded to Lansing in a packet, including resolutions from every governmental agency locally. It may not be a state record, but it's got to be damn close.
All right. Commissioner Lemkool.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Sonny for his diligence in making sure this is going forward. Without his pushing and shoving and working on this particular project, I'm not sure it would have gone through as smoothly as what it did. So, Sonny, I just want to say thank you.
Well, it wasn't just me. The Solid Waste Planning Committee done a great job. Bob Oosterhout deserves an awful lot of credit. We really did, and the people at American Waste did a great job of making sure that we had all the information we needed.
All right. Commissioner Thomas, did you have a question? Okay. Anyone else have a report? I guess I have a question for administration, and that is the issue of serving alcohol on county property and the authority of the Parks Board to apply for a liquor license with or without the consent of the Board of Commissioners. I know that there was some previous discussion about another facility perhaps that the county could have a liquor license at, and that would be a way of generating revenue for receptions and those kinds of things. But so I'd like to have a clarification on that issue, whether it would require county commissioner consent, approval, or the Parks and Rec have that authority to apply for a liquor license. Any other comments or questions from the Board of Commissioners? Commissioner Fleece.
I again will be absent for next week's meeting, so I'll be out of state. Tuesday, Marilyn and I will celebrate 43 years of marital bliss, and 29 of which I had to work, so now that I'm not required to have the nose to the grindstone, she has plans for me.
Good for her. Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
All right.
We gotta go into hiding?
All right, we have notices and announcements, which is the meeting on Thursday with the townships and local governments. And we have the joint meeting with the tribe on August 24th, just a reminder. And that meeting will be held in Shabbytown at the governmental offices. Hearing no other notices and announcements.
Mr. Chairman, there's a very good chance I will be late tomorrow night for the semi-annual meeting.
All right.
I will be here as early as possible.
Okay, we'll make that announcement. All right.
You got married on the 5th?
So we
I got
have-
married on the 4th.
The next item on the agenda is the closed session. If we could have the administrator give us the recommendation
So
to go into closed session.
we need a motion to go into closed session to discuss the POAM deputies' contract negotiations and the closed session minutes of May 25th.
Motion to approve.
All right. Is there a second? Sure. Second by Commissioner Fleece to go into closed session for the purpose of the POAM deputies' contract negotiations and the discussion of the prior minutes.
And for those that are watching at home, there may be action as a result of this, either on the minutes or on the...
All right, so we will return after we get, so we have a roll call vote for closing and going into closed session.
Commissioner Gilman?
Yes.
Henschel?
No.
Lemko?
Yes.
Maxbauer?
Yes.
Richardson?
Oh, the looks. Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Please?
Yes.
Chairman Inman?
Yes, congratulations, Commissioner Henschel.
Thank
You're
you.
the
First
county
one.
commissioner- the first county commissioner
In recent
my-
Yes.
history.
in my tenure of 19
Yeah.
years that voted no to go into closed session. So you deserve that distinction.
I should have joined you.
He didn't want to go into closed session.
There you go.
Well, at least it'll be dark out.
Get everyone seated.
Not yet.
Pat and Paul, you guys are
And I'm
going
ready.
to sit back there, you gotta smile.
Okay, the commissioners are all in the room now. We will reconvene in open session. We need a motion to,
Mr. Chairman,
Come
I
into
would
open
move to come
session,
out of
sorry.
closed session.
okay, with a motion to come out of closed session.
Support.
Support by Thomas. All in favor? Tongue-tied tonight. Aye. Opposed? All right. So we have one item left under the county administrator's report, and that is item number 3, the POAM Deputies Bargaining Unit, and that was also discussed in closed session. Do we have a recommendation from the board? Commissioner Fleece.
I would make a motion that we accept the proposal from the deputies unit.
Okay, as
Support.
presented.
As
Okay.
presented.
Okay, yeah, so
Support.
moved by Commissioner Fleece, seconded by Commissioner Wheelock, to approve the POAM Deputies Bargaining Unit contract as presented to the Board of Commissioners. Discussion. Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Henschel.
Yes.
Umkel.
Yes.
Axbauer.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Yep.
Thomas. Wheelock.
Yes, ma'am.
Please.
Yes.
Gilman.
Yes.
Inman.
Now he's
Oh,
smiling.
Chairman Inman.
Okay. Motion passes unanimously.
Good pass with you.
All right, seeing no other business, we need a motion to
I'll
adjourn.
move to adjourn.
Moved by Max Bauer, seconded by Gilman, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, passes, we stand adjourned. Roll call.
Big Thomas. This will be the first time Big Thomas in 18 years.
Yeah, 19 years. The 19 years he's asked for a roll call.